If any of you guys know anything about me in real life, then you should know that I'm a fan of 4 franchises. Number 1, My Hero Academia. 2, Invader Zim. 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And finally,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I've been a fan of this blue rat for many years now. Okay, you can count them. I've loved Sonic since 2019 because of fucking cartoon beat boss battles. You know, back when I thought Verbalist was a cool guy before he married Charlie Morningstar. You see, back in 2019, I became a huge Sonic fanboy, and I still am to this very day. I've gotten into Sonic so much back then. I drew Sonic and his friends in my notebooks, watched YouTube videos about him online, and saw the movies, and saw the TV shows, and, God damn it, I started off on my first day, fuck! And since Sonic has been here since 1991, it was only natural for him to get his own TV series, especially since they were very common back then, with the practice still continuing now with video game movies and TV shows, such as the Mario movie, a movie that was fucking mid! As well as the Netflix adaptation for Arcane. I saw a few episodes of that show, by the way. From what I see, it's pretty good. I highly recommend it. And when I heard that Sonic had around 5 shows at the time, Adventures of Sonic, Sonic SatAM, Sonic Underground, Sonic X, and Sonic Boom, I watched all of them, and they ranged to alright to fine to holy shit, why does he have big feet? Look, I just want to be honest, most of Sonic TV shows are pretty much mixed bags of content in my opinion. I mean, some of them try to do something, but most of them just could be bare bones basic or flat out boring. Let me tell you, I watched 45 episodes of Sonic X with my younger brother, and I still thought it was boring.
Though it had Jason Griffith and Mike Polo, so I guess that's cool, I guess.
And after Sonic Boom got cancelled in 2017, I thought we weren't gonna get any more Sonic TV shows. But then, back in 2020, Netflix announced something. They said that they'll be teaming up with Wild Brain Studios, Sega, and Man of Action to create a new Sonic series. And back then, I was hyped up. I waited and waited for more news. Are you kidding me? Yes, it was true. I heard that the American cast for the Sonic franchise were replaced, since the animation studio Wild Brain was located in Canada, and due to Canadian labor laws, they had to be replaced with Canadian actors specifically for this new Sonic series. I was a little scared and skeptical of who the new VAs will be and how they can portray the characters, but then, a teaser showed for the show, and, well...
I know what you're thinking. I'm good. And powerful, apparently. Jealous?
Oh my god, I love this voice! This is Devin Mack, a Canadian voice actor who's been around for quite some time now, and he was the person who'll be voicing the Hedgehog for the show, and after seeing his announcement video on his YouTube channel, I was instantly hooked. There were also a few concept arts of the show that got leaked all over the internet, and judging from the art of the show itself, there were a few things that got changed, but I do believe it was for the better. Wait, Sonic? Sonic is doing the Take the L dance? Holy fuck, Verbalist predicted it! Then, in December of 2022, the show Sonic Prime debuted. Now, I was very excited. I had popcorn and soda and I was ready to watch online with my brother. And when I saw the show for myself, it was pretty fucking awesome. I'll tell you that. Really good shit. So, why are we here? Well, I want to talk about Sonic Prime. I mean, that's what you came here for. Stupid! The reason I want to talk about it is because I just want to talk about why it's superior to any other Sonic cartoon that came from the past decades, and why it's the best Sonic cartoon of all time. Also, just a heads up, I will be talking about the ending, and just to be clear, this is just my personal opinion, so feel free to think whatever else you want, I'm not gonna stop you. Spoilers ahead to people who haven't seen the show. With that further... God damn it, what do people say whenever they start an introduction like this? So, without further ado, let's get right into... Oh, no, I'm not doing a fucking key... No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing a Keemstar reference. Just do it. Go, play the intro already. I'm done. Now, Season 1 of Sonic Prime was, honestly, pretty decent. It pretty much sets up what you need to know for this adventure in specific, but we mostly get introduced to the Shadow Spaces. Just to give you some context, Sonic and his friends were all fighting Eggman, but when Sonic has Eggman cornered, he spin dashed into a sacred crystal called the Paradox Prism. With the prism now shattered, Sonic is now transported into New York City. Then in episode 3 he got teleported into the Boss Gauge Maze, then back to New York in episode 6, then to No Place in episode 7. Now with that out of the way, let me talk about this first season. First of all, I do believe the concept has been so overdone now. I mean, we've pretty much seen this type of stories many times before. But Man of Action, the company writing the series, makes a pretty decent execution of it, and I find that to be really endearing. Second, I really love how they set up this version of Tails. 9. Since he never had a Sonic in this universe, he was pretty much bullied for having an extra tail. Still staying true to his source material, 9 created 7 extra tails to protect himself. He's been put into an environment filled with awful people, so he hides away so he can't interact with them so they can't have the potential to hurt him again. I've also done my research and I found out that a 9-tailed fox is mostly considered to be an ally or an enemy, and for this show's case, it's an ally first and an enemy later, but more on that later. Or maybe I'm just reading this wrong. Hold on, let me ask Faster. He has the video. Yo, Faxer! Is my research correct or nah?
That's not my name, Jahil, but you're basically right. 9 is most likely a kitsune, which according to Wikipedia is a type of fox spirit that has 9 tails in Japanese folklore. As he stated, they do have 2 types of classifications, those being malicious and good. Interestingly enough, the connections to kitsunes and tails goes deeper than just that. According to the the guy who created—
Gee willikers! Thanks, dude. Now get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Shoot. And finally, you didn't thought about buying Spotify Premium. Okay, enough joking, back to the serious. The first season is, again, pretty decent, but my personal gripe with the season and the whole show is how fast the pacing was. Look, I get it's a Sonic cartoon, but the pacing for it just smashes the prism happened in like 2 minutes in the first episode. And during the middle of the episode, we get flashbacks to Sonic and his friends in Green Hill. And this is a huge problem for me. Why couldn't we just get the flashbacks come first and then we could get to the prism shatter? That would at least slow things down a bit and just, you know, it wouldn't feel too in your face. That's all I just want to say. But that's just a problem that bugged me since I started this season. But I won't complain any further, is Prime's characterization of the Blooper himself. Sonic has always been a very static character for many years. Sure, the guy's the attitude who kicks ass fast, but that was always the personality that Sega labeled him as. Sonic was always one note in certain parts of the franchise, at least for me. He never really had that much of a character arc or a story that focuses on his struggles, but in terms of the games, the one I can remember was Sonic Frontiers. A game that pretty much made Sonic a lot more mature while still keeping his witty, badass personality, and that's good too. But if we're going by the live action movies, Sonic is pretty much a teenager that wants to become a hero to help people, and it always works out for him. But that version of Sonic is completely separated from the games. I've seen many fans online have always complained about Prime's characterization for the character, but for me, I think Prime Sonic has to be, if not my third favorite interpretation of the character. My second favorite is the Jason Griffith Sonic, and my first favorite is the IDW Sonic. And even though this is one of my favorite Sonic interpretations, I do get the complaints from the fans, with them saying he's a quote-unquote mumbling idiot or quote-unquote acting like a 12-year-old. I mean, I do get the criticism, but I do see why these changes were made, and I believe they have their fair share of merits. First of all, hasn't there been a moment where Sonic wasn't the person who makes a few jokes? That was pretty much his thing, making lighthearted jokes related to the situation in order to shed some light on it while still taking it seriously. And I'm sure the writers tried to emulate Roger Craig Smith's version of Sonic, an actor who made Sonic a bunch of more comedic lines and, you know, Sonic Boom. But personally for me, I don't think it's too much of an issue as most people made it out to be online. And second, the show's theme is pretty much about self-redemption and character development, so that meant even though they changed Sonic's behavior a little bit, the show was intending on putting him on this new story, visiting many worlds similar to his, to teach him a lesson about not taking anything or anyone in your life for granted. That message was pretty much there since the start and end of the series, and I'm shocked that many people all over the internet didn't take that message into consideration when you know, watching the series. I'm sorry I stuttered up on my words, but it's true. Look, although Sonic is acting differently, let me remind you, it is for a reason, and the show was trying to give him some depth so he can grow and change as a person. If Sonic had his usual personality, that would have been fine. Good, even. But it still doesn't give us what makes this hedgehog tick, so we can see many obstacles that come in his way. And if the obstacles are worse, then that would make Sonic vulnerable. That's what the show is trying to do, and it's succeeding at it. It wants to give Sonic these moments where he's on his knees, trying to find a solution, but every time he does it, every single time, it leads to more problems he has to face. And I love every moment of it. It's a specific and well-done way of portraying a character that is known for either being chill, spunk, witty, or having the voice of Steve Urkel, into a character that has flaws and needs to come over the problem that he caused because of his cockiness and shitty behavior, as well as his inability to think before acting. It's still not as great as the IDW comics interpretation, but it's still great nonetheless, and I love each shattered space he enters in. He manages to find the way for the alternate versions of his friends, excluding Rouge, to have a chance of redemption and receive proper character development in such amazing ways. Okay, in terms of character development, Thorn was the only one that changed in the first season, but for Nine and Knuckles the Dread, not so much, but more on that later, but it's still great. Almost as great as the world building in East Shadow Space. In the first season, we got introduced to 4 worlds. New York City, a dystopian city run by 5 versions of Dr. Eggman. Dr. Deep and Dr. Don't are my personal favorite for how fucking hilarious they are, especially in Season 2. The Boss Cage Mage, a more jungle version of Green Hill, the Grim, a world with no organic life forms, and the No Place, an Aquarius version of Green Hill that's mostly made out of water. Now the reason I find them to be pretty neat is because they feel like a level in a mainstream Sonic game, jumping from world to world and using the many abilities with your shoes and gloves. Holy shit, I almost forgot! Sonic's shoes and gloves change style whenever they enter a new Shadow Space! Oh my god, I forgot about that! To be honest, I actually think my personal favorite has to be the Grim design from, you know, the Grim, where Sonic had his shoes and gloves turn into the Grim, and which was first introduced in Season 2. Oh right, speaking of which, Season 2 picks up where god damn it. Season 2 of Prime picks up just where the last episode left off. With Sonic between the Shadow Spaces, he sees a familiar face. You know him. You love him. You probably know he's edgy. It's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Wait, Shadow's here? How?
Well, in the first season, we learned that after Sonic released a powerful blast, come on! After Sonic released a powerful blast, Shadow had an impressively animated fight scene with Sonic while discussing the blast. Once Sonic runs off, Shadow follows him to the Green Hill bedrock, and when Sonic spin dashes into the prism, Shadow uses Chaos Control to teleport out of the blast, leading him into the void. Now, remember when I mentioned Ghost Hill? Well, it's actually somewhat similar to Green Hill, but after we got the description from Shadow and saw it for ourselves, it's not whole. It's like a ghost, but it's extremely terrible for Sonic. You wanna know why? Because he's looking at the true consequence of what he's done. Remember, he broke the prism. He took his friends for granted. He was the one who caused all of this shit. All Sonic could do was just look in absolute shock. And he gets so shocked that his hands are shaking. Again, perfect moment. It shows how incredibly desperate Sonic is to fix the mistake and do things completely different all over again. And his determination later on in the season shows how he really wants to right his wrong. Also, side note, I just love Shadow's voice in Sonic Prime. Ian Hanlon did a phenomenal job voicing the character. A little better than Jason Griffith's take on the character back when he worked on, the franchise. I mean, have you heard Shadow's voice in the Sonic X English dub back in 4Kids? He sounds too, I don't know, Sonic emo guy, not the gun-wielding badass ultimate life form we know and love.
I'm busy right now!
Going back on track, for the rest of Season 2, we revisit some of the worlds Sonic's been in since last time, and I gotta say, not bad. I honestly thought doing some more stuff with the Boss Cage, No Place, and New York game would be great. Although I personally find it a little annoying for me to see Sonic in Boss Cage Maze, saving the gang, and when he tries to stop an egg forcer, he drops the shard piece. Like, why? Well, because the plot demanded it, so we can head over to No Place for the next 2 episodes. Then the same thing happens. And then we get back to New York. I'm disappointed. Now, listen, the New York arc in Season 2 was a lot better for me than the last season, but in my opinion, I want to tell you guys what the best part of this arc was for me. Just play the clip.
It's a fur bag!
Chaos Sonic! Now, when I saw the trailer for the second season, I was legit hyped for this robot. I mean, sure, we did get a bunch of robotic versions of Sonic and his friends in the past, so this wasn't all new to the fans, including myself. But what made Sonic, the Chaos Sonic stand out against the rest was that he had the personality of Deadpool.
I'm touching myself tonight.
And he had the Jaleel White voice. No, Jaleel White didn't appear in the show, no matter how hilarious that could have been. Instead, Devin Mack decided to do an impression of White when playing Chaos. Since he said that in his announcement video, his first exposure to the Sonic franchise was watching the 3 TV shows based on, he did 3 TV shows based on the 90s, okay? I just wanted to say that. Since he never played the games, he always watched the TV shows as a kid, and that was his first introduction to Sonic. So, doing a Jaleel White voice for Chaos Sonic sounds like Devin is actually paying tribute to the first ever Sonic VA. Not bad, Dev. Not bad at all. But Chaos Sonic was still a little disappointing. Not that the character himself was bad or anything, I loved every moment with that toaster. I feel like his character had so much potential, but he unfortunately gets killed off in the first episode he gets introduced in. Chaos Sonic represents Sonic and his true inner flaws, his assholeish and cocky nature. He has an egotistical manner and annoying way of speaking. Sonic says, "Stop talking," meaning he doesn't like it when people just point out the many flaws of his character. Despite Chaos being a lot more immature than Sonic in comparison, he's the negative version of Sonic which he hates. Now, my personal interpretation might be because he had the same mannerisms as Chaos did back when he was in Green Hill before the shattering, just with Chaos's cockiness at a bare minimum. Sonic doesn't want to listen to Chaos, nor think of him, because it reflects on how much Sonic is still hurting because of him taking his friends for granted. I mean, Chaos could have been a major or minor antagonist, but unfortunately he dies in the episode he gets introduced in, as I previously stated. It feels as if the writer didn't have enough time to flesh him out as much as they wanted to. And shame on Netflix for only giving the show 24 episodes, despite the show pretty much having a bunch of material so they can, make more episodes off of, but I don't know. Look, Netflix is pretty shitty nowadays. I just don't want to talk about them any further. There are a few moments in this season where it pretty much managed to get me on the edge of my seat, such as Season 2 Episode 8, where Sonic, Shadow, and 9 get back to Ghost Hill to gather up all the Prism Shards and put them back together. This leads to one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the series. 9 quickly tries to reassemble the Paradox Prism while the Chaos Council aims to reclaim it for themselves, forcing Sonic and Shadow to team up to protect it. However, 9 has its own goals for the Prism. He wants to use it for the Grim, the shadow space that pretty much has 0 life forms living on it. He wants to use the Prism's energy to create a world where he can call home. Now, let's talk about 9 for a second. The characterization of 9 in Sonic Prime portrays him as a deeply flawed character who's developed a defensive front due to trauma of years of bullying. And as a result, he developed a desire to isolate himself and take control of his own reality where he can create a perfect paradise where he's in charge and no one can criticize or hurt him. Now, this characterization implies that 9 is a complex character who's been deeply affected by bullying and isolation and adopted a bitter and cynical attitude to protect himself. Although his goals may seem selfish, they portray a more nuanced character than his mainstream counterpart. But Sonic doesn't say that. Instead, he just states that he's another version of Tails, just like the rest. The only difference is 9's cynical attitude and worldview. This scene in Sonic Prime is so emotionally heartbreaking to watch because the reveal of 9's betrayal at the end of Sonic Prime Season 2 was just so shocking, as his character has been established to be an outcast and a bullied kid who became cynical and bitter. But the twist reveals that despite his claims to be a victim of societal alienation, 9's desire for power and control surpasses his own moral boundaries, making him a much more complex and sinister character than his mainstream counterpart. 9's ambitions to turn the empty world of the Grim into his own personal paradise and rule without interference highlights his selfish and tyrannical behavior, taking him down to an even darker path. And seeing him taking the shards away for himself, as well as saying this to Sonic's face, "Trust you? The only person I can trust is myself," just shows that he wants what he wants, and nobody, not even Sonic, the only person in the entire show that he actually started to grow and like, won't stop him. And the only thing Sonic can do is just stand there, covering his face in his hands and sobbed. Concluding the second season. So what happens in Season 3? Well, in my opinion, it had an alright start and a great middle, but the ending, it was... Yeah. I mean, the third season is good. Don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, I think they were pushing the action way too much towards the end. I mean, I love the action in this show, but for Season 3 in specific, it kept going on and on and on and on and on. Sonic Prime has great action, but it just kept going at it for around 3, maybe 4 episodes towards the end of the season. There were a few minor issues I had, like Knuckles the Dread's character development was a bit rushed, and Shadow, once again, not getting much screen time like he did in the first season, and so on. But there were a few moments in the show where it did got me on the edge of my seat with anticipation, just waiting for the conclusion. But we'll be talking about that in a bit, so... Okay, fucking, let's just do it now. I don't have time to patience. I don't have time or patience to do this, okay? Let's just talk about it. Now, if you've seen the ending for Sonic Prime Season 3, you would know that the ending fucking sucked. Okay, real talk here. I actually thought the ending was okay. Not bad, not good, just kinda okay. The ending for Sonic Prime was something I've been anticipating for, but after watching it, I'm sorry, but it's incredibly flawed. The pacing is off, 9 surrendered to just 2 minutes of the episode, which makes the pacing feel way too fast, and for the most part, everything in this episode went by so fast, with Sonic and Shadow returning to Green Hills. I could see that the writers were trying to do this, like what they were trying, but everything moved way too fast, especially for an ending of a serialized Sonic TV show, for fuck's sake. My expectations for this episode were that 9 and Sonic would continue to battle it out, 9 refusing to Like, Nine refusing to listen to Sonic. Sonic, gets the powers of the prisms to get a new transformation similar to Super Sonic or whatever the fuck, and take down Nine in a badass animated fight scene with Kellen Quinn's vocals in the background. The two versions of Tails, Sails, and Mangy could use Nine's tech to transfer them back to Green Hills. Sonic says goodbye, gets back home, apologizes to the team about being a dick to them, learning from his mistakes, being more calmer and collected. The show concludes with Sonic and his friends going on another adventure to defeat Baldy McNoser once more. But oh, no. No. That unfortunately doesn't happen in the show. Look, I might sound mean, but Sonic Prime has always been my #1 favorite Sonic series. But its ending is what makes me so frustrated and confused. Like, sure, I wasn't too angry, unlike other people on YouTube and Twitter made it out to. But if I want to talk about something positive for the ending to keep it fair, I did love the way how it wrapped out Sonic's character arc and gave us some great closure, and it was pretty great for me to see. But I cannot. It cannot top Shadow's most badass line in this show or probably this whole franchise. Faster, play the clip right now.
Shadow? What the heck are you doing here?
I am the ultimate life form. I go wherever I want.
Fucking mic drop, dude. Like, oh my god. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Gold star. 10 out of fucking 10. So yeah, Sonic Prime's ending was pretty anticlimactic, but if there's another thing I want to give praise for the show, it's the animation. Like, good lord, the animation is awesome. Out of all the Sonic cartoons, Prime has to be my favorite in terms of how it makes the characters look and the world feel. Like, I actually thought that the people over at Wild Brain would actually just use the models that Sega used for the game, but no! Wild Brain made these models from scratch, using the game models as reference while adding new features to the designs, such as the fur and quill textures on the character's hair or fur. Having eyes or just making them look so expressive and full of life, making their body movements feel and look addicted. Like, just look at it, it's so good. Sorry for the stuttering, but goddamn. Okay, be real. But the animation shines mostly in the fight scenes, the fighting choreography, the camera angles, the perspective shots, smear frames, composition, shading, and well, everything looks so badass and breathtaking. You can literally just watch the show for the visuals alone and you can still understand what's going on. The animation is a lot better than Sonic Boom, and I'll say that loud and fucking proud. Don't at me! So yeah, that's Sonic Prime. What rating would I give this show? Well, in my honest opinion, I'd give it an 8.4 out of 10. It's a great show, but the ending is somewhat it still bugs me a little bit though. I still had a fun time watching the show and watching it all the way to the end, but regardless of its flaws, I still recommend you guys check it out on Netflix. I'm glad I could actually write a nice, somewhat critical, somewhat comedical review on this show, and I hope you guys will like it as much as I have. That's my video. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my friend
Enzo A. Person
for editing this video once again, and I'll be talking about another anime in this video. I mean the next video. God damn it, I stuttered again. So, yeah, see you guys later. Peace out.
The anime I'll be talking about next time is I hope there's a lot of fans in the comment section. Okay, bye.